Good evening, everybody. My name's Tom Stoukas, coming to you live from Sarnia, Ontario, today on Thursday, May 29th, 2025. So, not too much, kind of boring in the news when it comes to politics. I don't know. It's like they're trying to get us uninterested as they spend all our money. Uh, I guess the biggest thing is Carney announced like a $500 billion spending plan, and he's gonna go into more details a little bit later, coming into June. But I kind of have an idea of the spending's not gonna. It's gonna be on pretty stupid stuff. If the liberal track record for the last 10 years is any indication, so 500 billion. That's a lot of money, and but he might announce some like huge, big projects, like oil projects. Who knows? But that's a lot of money. We'll see what he's gonna do with it. Probably waste it all. And then at the provincial level today, the MPPs are getting a little bit of a raise after a few years of pay freeze. Doug Ford is gonna get like a $70,000 raise, and the MPs are gonna get like 50,000. I don't know, 50,000. I have the numbers. And they get pensions too, I guess, little pensions, and whatever, I know 100,000, whatever, 150,000 doesn't buy nothing these days. I get it, uh, and they should be compensated. But the problem I have is with the MPPs is Ontario is destroyed, and so I don't think they should be kind of rewarded for poor performance, because what I see in Ontario, the Ontario I know and grew up, uh, under the MPPs, the last 20 years, even not just the last seven, not just with the Conservatives, but with both parties, Ontario's gone to shit. Like, it's like you got every downtown, every city's infested with drugs and crime and poverty. And like I was reading an article today that 10% of London, Ontario, uses a food bank. 10%. I mean, for a first world country, that's pretty shameful, and it's pretty poor performance. And of that's the 10% that have gone gulped their last bit of have last bit of resource, and they have to go to the food bank. Like most people do not want to go to the food bank. I've never gone to the food bank, but if I had to, I would. If you had to eat, if your kids had to eat, you go to the food bank. So 10%. But how many people that don't go to the food bank are having trouble keeping up with the grocery bill? Probably a lot. So it's not about the compensation for the MPPs; it's their performance. It's kind of a bit disqualifying. Like, it's nothing to be proud of. The performance. Ontario is definitely facing some difficulties, and we've been the main recipient of mass migration in Canada, and our premier's taken it with open arms because I don't know why. Like, he's probably bought off or uh, co-opted in some way, but it's just horrible. Like, the whole state of the province is horrible. So that's where I think that's where I stand on the compensation. You should be performance based, and oh man, we got big problems. We need better parties. I don't know, something has to. It's not really about the money though. It's for me. It's about the performance. And this crazy story that came on just now, that as I was getting settled in after work today, in Pickering, they had they shut down the city almost basically because in Pickering, some lady, an older lady, in her front of her house was doing something, and a lot of older my street's the same way. A lot of old people, they like the garden, their grass, whatever. So they're doing stuff. She's out in front of her house, whatever, and some apparently a 13-year-old kid stabbed her to death. Like that's so they just announced his arrest, and and so until this time we didn't know who it was. It was just some crazy dude who stabbed an old lady in front of her house. Totally random. Didn't know her. Like a lot of violence you see is usually it's late at night. It's in some crime-ridden area. It's between criminals usually, or people on drugs. You know, people that put themselves in risky situations. This lady was a total civilian, so that's why it's such a big story on the news. And now this twist. I guess it was a 13-year-old boy. Yeah, that's crazy. So, how many of those are lurking around us? How many of those 13-year-old time bombs are around us? Yikes. And, yeah. Not much news today. I don't know. Not seeing much. But yeah, that's nuts. And then, got all these Indians getting charged with all sorts of criminal activities ranging. And I'm not trying to pigeonhole. There are white people that do crime. Don't get me wrong. But we don't really need any more crime than we already have. That's my point. But just so many cases here you're seeing, like, ranging from sexual assault to, like, extortion to murder to driving a truck like crap and nearly kill. Who knows? Never heard about that Walkerton. Those Walkerton kids and the teacher who got killed. Like, what's the deal with that? 5 people got killed. Like, nobody's come forward, the cops, to say, yeah, is there going to be charges? Like, nobody's asked. I wonder why. That's weird. Like, usually when 5 people die, the instinct of the government is to say, so somebody's got to be to blame for this, and we have to assign some blame, or we have to do an investigation. Like 5 people are dead. I haven't heard anything. Now maybe they're waiting for the funerals to be over, which is understandable. We live in a go-go society, and I think it was such a shock to the community and to the families, of course, that they're waiting for that to, and then continue their investigation. Because I'm just saying, 5 people in a horrible tragedy. So people want to know, like, what was going on. Is there a problem with the road? What, you know? But I'm pretty sure they're going to wait till the funeral. So yeah, I'm looking on the news. 13-year-old boy arrested in fatal stabbing of elderly woman. That's nuts. Durham. We were just talking about Durham yesterday. How people are getting their air conditioning unit broken into, and stealing their copper coil, I guess. It's a big problem in Durham, apparently. Now you got kids rocking around stabbing people. What the hell's going on in Durham? So, crazy. But that's about it, I guess. We'll look through this. I saw an interesting chart, too, on immigration for the first quarter of 2025 in Canada. And for some damn reason, it makes no sense, and we'll look at the chart. It's 30% of the permanent residents given spots in Canada for the first quarter were to residents of India. which, and then the next closest one was Philippines was like 6.9%, which makes no sense. And we'll talk about that later, I guess. I hate keeping talking about India every night, but what the hell? Right. This 13-year-old kid's going to be a big story. Like, that's crazy. What's his deal? We have a picture of him, too, I think. That's crazy. So, it's been a long day, busy day. Working, I actually work in the real world. So, that's a story from today. Just now, actually. Made arrest in fatal stabbing. Like, first of all, when they were looking for the guy all night. You had to wonder, was he going to strike again? Were they going to catch him? Were they going to kill him? Like, what the hell? When were they going to catch him? If they were going to catch him? And then they caught him, and you think, okay, now let's see who this guy is. And they turns out to be a 13-year-old boy, so it's weird. At least they caught him. So let's go to the first post today. Not going to be on here too long. It's been a long day. All right. The weather's too garbage. Like, it's almost June, and it's like gray outside, and it's not necessarily cold, but it's cold enough to not be able to sit out and enjoy it without like having a jacket on. And it's not like the weather, patio weather at all, I don't think. Better change soon. Like, we're almost heading into June now. Okay, first post. A little international. Little goblin Ben Shapiro should just move his show to Israel. Yeah. What's he saying? We were talking about yesterday about Trump and Iran. And he's telling Netanyahu, the Israelis, not to bomb Iran. And Ben Shapiro, who apparently is American, but he doesn't like the policy of the U.S. So I just want to see what he says here.
These so-called restrainers inside the administration, they're not. So a kind of shocking story from Axios yesterday emerged that suggested that President Trump had cautioned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a phone call last week not to take any action that could jeopardize negotiations between the United States and Iran on a new nuclear deal. Okay, so first of all, I have a question. Israel is not involved in those negotiations. So why should Israel hold off? Real question. Israel is the country most under threat from Iran, not the United States. Okay, so if we were going to take the full-scale J.D. Vance isolationist realist position, shouldn't the United States just sort of wash its hands and walk away and say whatever happens, happens? But I notice that's not what's happening. Instead, these so-called restrainers inside the administration, they're not attempting to restrain the United States, which is already restrained. I promise you, my 100% certitude is that President Trump is not going to authorize a bombing raid on the Iranian nuclear facilities. Whether or not we should, I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, that's just the reality. So why is the restrainer team inside the Trump administration trying to stop Israel from doing that thing? Why? With what bad deal? Iran keeps saying openly they will not stop enrichment. And yet, the United States is so desperate for a deal, what, for the sake of a deal? The Iranians know this, which is why they're pushing. And so when Trump warns Netanyahu not to go and do anything about Iran, just trust us. Okay, listen, I will trust that President Trump will cut a good deal if he continues to maintain the Trump 1.0 stance, which is no nuclear enrichment at all, no nuclear facilities at all. That was something that 3 weeks ago the Trump administration was saying.
He's freaking out, Ben.
President Trump himself, again, I'm with Trump 1.0 on this, not Steve Witkoff and J.D. Vance 2.0.
Oh.
Donald Trump 1.0 killed Qasem Soleimani, destroyed the Iranian economy, and held them in check. Then Joe Biden came in, reversed a bunch of that stuff, and you got October 7th and a vast regional war. Why wouldn't we just go back to Trump 1.0? That is the foreign policy that actually shaped the Abraham Accords. Why is that not the thing? Instead of calling...
Anyway, they really want a war with Iran. Look how mad he is. Oh, it's hilarious. This next one, truck driver pleb. Canada needs the pleb. But will the pleb come back? That's the question. I don't think he's coming back. I think he's staying wherever he is. Here's a post. Notice how useless. I had a bunch of posts that I wanted to talk about, and they all disappeared. This is kind of the problem on X, too. It used to be good at the start, and then it was great. Everybody was happy, and then it just... something happened in the last... something just short-circuited. So anyway... this one, notice how useless Conservative Party of Canada is. It's by design. Yeah, it does seem, they do seem rather useless. But, it is early, I guess. Okay, here's the article I saw on CTV London. Time to give food banks feeding 10% of Londoners. So, London, there's about 400-something thousand. So that means 40,000 people are going to food banks in London. I don't know. That seems a bit high. That seems a bit high. I read the article. It didn't say much about who's using it. And it didn't really get into it. It was more of a promotion to get people to donate. So I don't know how legit that 10%, but maybe it's legit. I don't think they would lie about it, the food bank people. But if that's true, 10%, like Sarnia would be, what, 8,000 people? If it was 10% of Sarnia. I could see 8,000 people here going to a food bank, but that seems high too. I don't know. And then here we are talking about X. I see comments like this all the time. Ryan Garrettson, who's pretty cool. I like his posts. He's having the same problems I am. He says so many accounts are being shadow banned right now. The platform is becoming worse than it was pre-Musk. The only difference is instead of being booted from it, they just make you invisible, especially when you bring up pharma. So, yeah, certain topics. But, see, that's the difference. Like with Facebook, they would suspend you at least. And then if you really were bad, they would permanently ban you. But at least you knew where you stood with them, right? On Facebook and the old Twitter, they would kick you off and they'd say, we don't want you. And then you just go on a Rumble and sit there. But now, X is like ghosting you. It's like, it's just going to pretend you don't exist, right? But they'll take your money. And so that's what they're doing. And he calls it freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. So he has the ability to limit your reach. Okay, fair enough. But maybe if I'm paying, which, we pay, what, $15, whatever, for the basic premium. If I'm paying, maybe you should tell me how exactly I'm being banned, how I'm being, my reach is being limited. Even if you don't tell me, at least let me know so I know, okay, this is what's going on. But it's like a Kafkaesque process where you don't know anything. You're just in this, and good luck getting somebody to tell you who you're gonna call on X to address your concern. Nobody, unless you're a celebrity who will get dealt with. So it's a mess. Now I heard Elon's leaving Doge or the government. He's probably sick of it. Think about it too. He's since the election, since October. So he's been going at it for almost a year, probably, between helping during the campaign and then post-election. He's been going at it a prior year. So that kind of coincides with the shit, the X and that going to crap a little. So maybe it's just he was so into the government thing that the X thing slipped around and they were kind of lost. So maybe now that he's stepping back from the government, he'll go tweak these problems, like fix these problems. Because he's not a dummy. He must hear us bitching about it. Like, eventually people are going to go to a different platform if they don't think anybody's listening to them. And you can't be so arrogant to think you can limit people, not tell them how you're limiting them, and then wonder why they leave. So I don't know. Hopefully it's just a temporary thing. But anyway, he said we're becoming invisible instead of being booted, where like Facebook would boot you. And that's what I said. I'd rather get booted. I'd rather get suspended and even permanently banned from a platform if I'm not if don't align with their philosophy that much. That's fine by me. I don't want to be part. But I mean, obviously you don't want to get banned either. But I'd rather get banned than have this freedom of reach philosophy where who's deciding the freedom of reach? You know, it's just it's basically censorship in a stealthier form. So hopefully, now that he's done with the politics, he'll fix this, or at least he'll address it, so we can make a choice whether to stay with the X or go somewhere else, or devote our energies to other platforms. They're all crooked now. It's like the cable company. They're all the same. All right, we're screwed either way. Next post. Here's the MPP raises in Ontario. 16-year pay freeze for MPPs, giving them a 35% raise in a pension. So to 157,000 from 116. Like 116 is kind of low, but the thing is, first of all, I said about the performance issue. Ontario's destroyed, so definitely no bonuses for them. Deserved bonuses. And also, MPPs, a lot of them make a lot of connections in the business world and whatever, the entertainment, whatever, the media. So, you know, it's a pretty good stepping stone for your profile. So, you know, the money might not be huge, but it is a good part of for your career to do 4-8 years of service. And on top of the base salary, you do get a lot of perks, like a lot of expense accounts and all that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I have no problem with the compensation. It's the performance that I don't see happening. I don't see no performance. Okay, like, once another example is they're unveiling. There's a statue of John A. Macdonald in front of Queen's Park. It's been boxed up for 5 years because the BLM people didn't like it. And now they're going to unbox it. But who was premier for the last 5 years? Doug Ford. He kept it boxed up and he's saying, you know what, screw this. John A. will be free. But he didn't. And now they're unboxing. He didn't decide it. It was the provincial, like some committee that, you know, deals with the Queen's Park. And they still might get rid of it. Like, they said they're going to decide what to do with it. So that's what I'm saying. That's what's more, stuff like that is what's is the performance issue. It's like, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, actually. But the John A. thing's interesting. And Doug Ford, he kept him boxed up. 16-year pay freeze. Yeah, I'm not too crying a river for these guys. Here are these clowns in the parliament. Let's say this is our finance minister.
That are going to benefit from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada. Be back in the House.
This guy, this is our finance minister. He looks like he reminds me of the Munchkin from the Wizard of Oz.
It's a pleasure to be back in the House, and it's a pleasure to deliver for Canadians,
Dorothy.
Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on our plans to make life more affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The first measure we introduced was a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. There are Canadians in our riding that are going to benefit from the tax cut. We're eliminating GST on first-time home buyers for their new house, Mr. Speaker, and we are removing the consumer carbon price from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada strong, and I hope...
All right. They're removing the tax that they put in. All right. So again, here's Ford government hiking MPP salary 35%. Bringing back defined benefit pensions for room. Another point I wanted to make too is like, you know, I know they're due for a raise, I suppose, but obviously I don't think they earned it for the performance. But there's a lot of other people that are in Ontario that are suffering because of their policies that aren't getting a 35% raise, and they're not getting a new pension. So I think the timing, I think Premier Ford could have said, you know what, I'll give this to the MPPs, but I'm not taking the raise. He didn't do that. Of course not. His brother might have done that, but whatever. Like, that's our overlords getting their taste before, deciding what to do with us. That's the way it is, I guess. Okay. Carney doesn't, next post. This is the federal government spending money. Carney doesn't even have a budget, but the guy just tabled a $486 billion spending plan. It's outrageous. Hey, be happy, pleb. A couple gets $800 back from them. So yeah, who knows how much of that $486 billion will get stolen, go to liberal friendly firms and agencies. Oh my God. And here's a 13-year-old boy. Supposedly is caught from a doorbell cam. And it says brown murder. See, because the suspect description was a brown skinned male. So that's why she said brown murder. Look at that, eh? So they caught him. 13-year-old kid. I'm sure we're going to hear all sorts of analysis on the case. And the reason it's a big deal is just because random crimes are, especially by 13-year-old kids, especially on old ladies in front of their house, not in downtown Toronto, in like Durham, which is like outside Toronto, Pickering. So it's like, it's kind of like a little bit of a wake-up call. It's like, what's going on in people's heads? All sorts of crazy stuff. But I'm sure we'll get more details on this maybe led up to this. What's the deal? I'm definitely interested. A 13-year-old boy arrested in fatal stabbing. Hopefully it's just like a isolated mental illness, like instead of like a trend in society where people go off their rocker and start stabbing people. Okay. Okay, here we are, the John A. MacDonald. Even though the Sir John A. MacDonald statue is being uncovered at Queen's Park, do not let them ever forget that they kept the first PM in Canada locked down the box for 5 years. Also, they didn't say they're going to keep them there. They said they're going to box it, and then they're going to unbox it, and then they figure out what to do with them, whether to keep them or remove them. So if they move them, if they move them, Ford allows it, then he's the biggest fake ever. Like, I mean, such a. It's like calling Dundas Square saying Cova Square. Like, I won't even go to Toronto. It's crazy. It's gross. All right. And then next, 3 Brampton men have been charged with shooting up a business and demanding extortion payment. Oh,
3 Brampton men are facing charges in an extortion investigation.
Yeah, Peel police say the investigation began after a business was shot at. This is in the Queen and Kennedy area last week. Police say nobody was injured, but the victim then started receiving messages making demands for money. Through the investigation, police identified and arrested these 3 suspects, each charged with extortion.
All right. I see lots of like constant news reports about extortion cases and firebomb. Like lately in Toronto, there's been like a whole bunch of like arsons on restaurants. I saw a Greek restaurant was in my old neighborhood. They lit on fire. So who knows what the hell is going on? What kind of elements are being imported into this country? Like criminal elements. All sorts of crazy stuff. And speaking of this, I saw this chart today, permanent residence by country of citizenship for the first quarter of 2025. So this is like January, February, March, first quarter, forward. Yeah, January, February, March of 2025. Permanent residence by country of citizenship. 30.4% from India. 6.9%. The next is 6.9% from Philippines, 6% China, and then a bunch from African countries and then some Ukraine. Probably might go up more. You never know with Ukraine. So, and then 38.6 is various other countries, which I thought that was interesting. Oh, I wonder who these other countries are. Anyway. Like, look at that imbalance, like, with India. Like, why is India getting 30% of permanent residencies in Canada? That's crazy. What you're doing is building up an Indian bloc within the country that's going to eventually outnumber the current, like, the non-Indian population. Like, that's crazy. So it's like really not good for social cohesion to have this kind of imbalance. I'm really at a loss to understand why they do this. It's been going on like this for 10 years. And that's why when people go to Toronto, people that aren't Canadian, they go to Toronto because, you know, Toronto is like a tourist city for foreigners. And the first thing they say is, why are so many Indians here? And it's like, well, this is the reason. Look at this. And it's like, that's on a yearly basis, 30% advantage. It's going to accumulate. Plus, they're going to get family here. They're going to get their 20 cousins to come work at the restaurant, the Indian restaurant. But the point is it'll keep like a snowball effect. So if that keeps going on for like 10, 20 years, you're going to have like a sizable Indian voting bloc within Canada controlling policy. And they'll never reduce that imbalance. Also, you got like 1.5 billion Indians, so there's no shortage of work visas or student visas or whatever. Like, this is not even including student visas. I bet you the student visa percentage is even higher. And a lot of student visas end up staying or find a way to stay. So anyway, yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this. Makes no sense. And then there's a 13-year-old boy breaking just now. It's crazy. I'd like to know how they caught him, because they were on the hunt for him for like 2 hours. But it's a 13-year-old boy. Like, he can't even drive, so he couldn't have gotten far. And they probably knew him. Probably knew some weird kid in the neighborhood or something. Well, we'll find out the details. And it's kind of interesting because he's a minor in Canada. They're very, for you listeners not in Canada, a minor, it's not like the States where they actually print the name of the kid. Not all the time, but a lot of the time they do. And they treat him like an adult, especially on murder cases. But here they will very coddle this kid. He's not going to get anything for this. He'll get juvie till he's 18 maybe, and then if he's mentally fit, if they think he's mentally fit, they'll let him out. Maybe even before 18. Like, you really have to do a lot to do time in this country. But it'll be interesting to see some of those details. And hopefully it's just a one-off, not a trend of ticking time bombs waiting to just kill you for no reason. I'm hoping it's not a trend. I don't think it is. But it could be, because you know what? This world is pretty messed up. And if you're not strong enough to handle it or to fend off the craziness, then, this is the kind of shit that happens. So anyway, I'm interested to see what the deal is with this kid. That's it for today, I guess. So the next broadcast will be Monday, June 2nd. So, yeah, June already. Wow. Hopefully this will be some June weather to report. So, until Monday, hopefully everybody has a nice weekend. And we'll see you then. Thank you very much.